These are 10 of the worst Five Nights at Freddy's theories that will make you shake your head in disappointment. First up, we have Paper Plate Doll is the soul of a missing child. Yes, the Paper Plate Doll, staring at you throughout various FNAF games, is actually possessed. While confirmed it does indeed have its own AI, I find it kind of hard to believe that's due to it being possessed. I would more likely believe this broom and trash can and Pizzeria Simulator is possessed. If it is possessed, however, I hope the kid doing it gets revenge, because I'd be so salty if my peers got Bonnie, Freddy, Sun and Moon, Foxy, and I got a paper plate. A paper plate. I would be the absolute laughing stock of that friend group. From what I understand, how animatronics get possessed is when the body of a kid was shoved in them, and I mean, look at this plate. Like, I don't know, William must have incinerated this one, because you lost me. This is nothing compared to the other theories ever, so moving on. You are Golden Freddy. Honestly, not gonna lie, I can't hate on this theory that much, and it's definitely not because Golden Freddy is actually tough. Like, imagine being Golden Freddy. You're one of the strongest, most respected animatronics. So I can't rip into it too much, even though it's very obviously not true. Next to tell us we're Springtrap. Oh, wait. They already did. Anyway, I've scoured the internet for any type of evidence or theory supporting this, as I'd like to be fair and couldn't find anything except the initial commenter. So I guess Buddy just has a wild imagination. Out of almost every animatronic ever, Golden Freddy is definitely one of the ones the vast majority of the community still seems heavily stuck on, as there's still very little lore surrounding him, with a handful of people saying he never existed in the first place. So I guess only time can tell, and if I'm proven wrong years down the line, I guess I'll eat my shoes as an apology. Now, this next one is kind of sweet, even if there's literally no evidence. Balloon Boy has a girlfriend. One commenter said it best. I see JJ and Dee as best friends or sister and brother, nothing more than that. FNAF is a horror game, so I don't have any ships for animatronics. To that, however, other commenters replied it would have been Balloon Girl. When you guys find this animatronic, please let me know, because I've never even heard of Balloon Girl, and I hope she's not real, because imagine not one annoying balloon kid laughing at you, but two. I mean, their whole family tree already irritates me. Balloon Boy, Dee, JJ, Helpy, and Bonnet are just complete nuisances and are way more trouble than they are worth. Honestly though, I do have to agree that I always viewed them more as family, and if anything, they're animatronics. I don't believe most of them have the emotional capacity to fall in love with each other, especially not Balloon Boy. I also think we need to keep in mind that these are literal children. And though this is just my opinion, I've always assumed Balloon Boy to just be an annoying little brother. I mean, be for real, the person in him has to be no older than 8 years old, and all he's capable of doing is laughing. Like, literally his game mechanic in every game is to stand there laughing at you because he already knows you're dead, and his mechanic in the FNAF movie was simply just existing. And the only actual word he knows is hello. I'm pretty sure Balloon Boy is brain dead. Respectfully. Apparently there's a water theory that's been circling the internet, however, that Balloon Boy is possessed by a 3-year-old who took interest in him and would watch him every day in the back room. Then, apparently Balloon Boy trampled this kid and the marionette attached them to each other, but if that wasn't enough, then apparently the kid's mother was looking for the child, and so, you know, they got rid of her too and attached it to a Balloon Girl, which by what I can tell is just JJ, and the reason she's under your desk is because she's looking for her son. This theory would honestly make more sense to me though. I still don't really necessarily believe the whole mother part of it. Honestly, this makes these two dating seem even weirder, so let's please not entertain this any longer. Well, I guess this can be seen as sweet. I just find it hard to imagine Balloon Boy getting on in the closet somewhere with a Balloon Girl, or his own mom, so we're moving on. Next up, apparently, Chica is actually a duck. Yes, Chica, the chicken, is a duck. Why, you may ask? I don't know. Like, I've tried spinning this everywhere in my head. She's even called Chica. Like, the main complaint is her beak, with people saying she looks like she's from Sesame Street. Now, if I was Chica, I wouldn't take that disrespect. Apparently, though, this was a common take for the first game. Now, however, most people do commonly accept that she's a chicken and state she looks like a chicken. But for some reason, there's still a few die-hard fans claiming she's a duck, even years later. And all I have to say to that is, nah-uh. Don't worry, guys. This theory really redeems this video. This one is real. No arguing. FNAF is based on a real-life incident. Wait. I don't know if I read that right. Five Nights at Freddy's is based on a real-life incident. So the story goes that two men, William and Henry, opening a diner, then William deciding he's a serial killer, luring kids away from their parents in a costume, then getting them in a staff room and shoving their corpses in suits, which then become possessed by bloodthirsty animatronics who make it their life goal to get revenge, where he then gets jumped by a bunch of ghost children in Springlock, is based on a real story. Let me Google this, cause I must be missing something. Scrolling, more scrolling. Yeah, I see nothing. The closest thing I see is apparently sometime in 1990 there was a shooting at Chuck E. Cheese killing 4 and injuring the 5th. The killer was killed by lethal injection, but once again, inspiration is different than based off. I heavily disagree with this theory, however, as the lore from what we know from different games doesn't really fall in this direction whatsoever. I feel like it's not enough to simply say, hey, some people died at Chuck E. Cheese, and it makes this whack FNAF story make sense. But who knows? Maybe I'm the slow one. The next theory is one of the absolutely worst theories so far in this video. And yeah, it's that Freddy is Mike's mom. Yes, Freddy is Mike's mom. Guys, it's all clicking now. Everyone, the pieces are finally falling into place. Freddy is a boy, and when the power is off, Freddy realizes that Mike is not asleep, and he plays a song for him to sleep. The whole FNAF 1 game is just Mike's mom trying to get into the room, into him, and he's probably just scared, so he never lets her in. I don't know, I'm just trying to make this make sense. I don't even know how this theory started. This theory lost me. I don't even understand it. Like, I'm trying to give you guys an explanation, but like, I really just don't know. I tried to search more, but all I get is that fans arguing and Google bluntly saying this isn't true. However, most fans believe the soul to be possessing Freddy is a kid named Gabriel. So yeah, that's definitely Mike's mom. Mike's very male, childlike mom. Yes, this video is very strange. Next, apparently Toy Chica is a guy and Toy Bonnie is a girl. Now, I don't know how you could possibly view Chica as a boy. You're telling me Chica looks more like a boy? Nothing wrong with a femboy, but like, that's the first thing you assume? The commenter continues that she doesn't look feminine in FNAF 1, and to that I'd say she has a feminine name and she's a freaking animatronic. Like what? Now only male animatronics can be Foxy now? They go on to say that when she was conceived, Scott probably made her a guy, as if Chica was born on a hospital table, and then complain about things like her eyebrows. I feel kind of bad for Chica, honestly, because this child was attacked and shoved in a suit, and out of everything now, her eyebrows are being criticized. I doubt she's had much time to go to the salon, so... And then they go on to say how different their friendship would be if Chica was a male. Would it? I literally believe absolutely nothing would change. They're still killing it at the end of the day, though I will say maybe we get less images of fan art of her doing weird things, which I actually do find pretty annoying. Like, she's a robot. Can y'all be normal? As to Toy Bonnie being a girl, I can slightly see this one more, as when I first saw him, I did indeed think he was oddly pretty. Also, Bonnie is traditionally a girl's name, meaning beautiful, but Scott's called Bonnie he, and every other version of Bonnie is a he, so this Toy Bonnie is honestly just a pretty version of Bonnie. Now, for some reason, I stumbled into a form of tearing Bonnie apart for looking too feminine, so I won't repeat what literally any of them said, because apparently they have nothing better to do than to argue over the gender of a robot, but I will say, he's a confirmed male. Next up on this list, we have Foxy is Phone Guy. No, he's not. This theory states that Phone Guy is Foxy in both games and never intentionally harms the player in the first game. If you look at him too much, he comes down to tell you it's alright because he thinks you're being paranoid. However, his voice box is broken, all that comes out is a scream, and Mike dies of fright. If you don't look enough, he thinks you've been hurt and comes to check on you. Again, you die of fright. In FNAF 2, Phone Guy tells you that flashing the light will stun Foxy. In reality, he told you that so you'd flash him if you were alive. If you have the Freddy mask on, he thinks you're an animatronic that killed his friend and he attacks. If he doesn't see the mask and you don't flash him, he assumes you're dead and kills the attacker, which is of course still you. Also, Phone Guy completely calls Foxy his favorite. Yeah, I'm confused. If Phone Guy was Foxy, would he not just tell you that? So why in the world would he need to send Foxy down to check on you? Can't he just call you? Like, I know the messages are pre-recorded, but this feels like a whole lot of effort when you know, maybe a dang phone call could have been more effective. And why would Phone Guy think you're being paranoid? Even though for most of the nights he pretends everything's dandy, he definitely isn't stupid. Annoying, but not dumb. This theory is pretty stupid. At number 8 on this list for the worst theory, we have Balloon Boy is fake, aka part of your imagination. Now, my biggest problem with this theory is if he was part of imagination, how does that equate to the flashlight not working? Is Foxy also my imagination? Surely the flashlight would still work. No. You see him standing on the cameras from night 1. What makes Balloon Boy any part more of my imagination than any of the others? Is JJ also just my imagination? I just find it hard to believe that Balloon Boy could possibly be the only one in your imagination, as he functions pretty much the same as the others, and even has his own spot on the custom nights. Surely he wouldn't if it was only imagination. Like, I'd believe Golden Freddy more than this, simply because Golden Freddy does not in fact have his own spot on custom night in FNAF 2, and he's sort of like an Easter egg in almost every other game. For the last worst FNAF theory on this list, yes, you guys knew it was coming. Toy Bonnie hid Toy Chica's beak because orange is the opposite of blue, and so he hid it in the vent because he was sad about it. Yes, guys, you heard that right. This sounds like a theory made by a literal toddler, and I feel as if there's no need to try and disprove it. Like, come on. Bonnie ripped off Chica's beak and hid it in a vent because he was sad? There must be other vents not connected to the cameras, because I ain't never seen her beak just chilling on the floor in Bonnie's vent. The more widely accepted theory, however, is that Toy Chica removes it herself so she can eat the night guard better. So, yeah, that's just fantastic. Well, guys, these were 10 of the worst FNAF theories. If you want to see even worse ones, though, the video on screen explains why Sister Location is an adult establishment.